Hey everyone, today I'm going to make a dish of Hokkien noodles. So I did get asked to make something for Chinese New Year, so I'm a little bit late in making this recipe, but it's something I used to have a lot when I go out in the city, and it was a combination of Hokkien Stir Fry noodles, chicken, fish cakes, calamari and prawns. So I'm making without the calamari, but I do have the fish cake here and it's frozen and it needs to be cooked from frozen, so I'm just boiling the water. Now it says to cook from frozen, but it says it's already cooked, so it just needs to be reheated. So I'm just going to cook it, then slice it and put it through my stir fry. I've got some prawns here. I've got about 15 prawns, and I've taken the heads off, peeled and deveined, but I've kept two because I just wanted to show you these beautiful king prawns I'm going to cook with and show you a bit about how to prepare them. So you just want to take the heads off. You can keep the heads and the shells for making a fish stock if you want, or a prawn stock. The next thing I do is I take off the tail, and you just want to squeeze it and pull it off. Now the tip is with this, usually restaurants will peel this bit off and leave the tail on when they serve them, but then it means the person who's eating it's got to peel that off. And when you're eating prawns, some people don't like to touch them, so they'll cut the ends off as well. But if you actually squeeze this as you're pulling it off when you're eating them, if you have them in a restaurant, that means you get the most prawn out of it, because otherwise afterwards, if you were to squeeze the tip, you find that there's a little bit of prawn left in that. So then you just want to peel around. I'm not sure if you can see this very well. Peel around, and that just gets all those legs off. And then to devein, you just want to get the top of the prawn, and you can just pull like that and it comes out. That's a bit yuck, but anyway, that's out. So that's one done. Now I can see it's a bit dark through there. So restaurants don't usually cut all the way down the middle, but I'm just going to cut down the middle and make sure there's nothing else left in there. And that's another way, if you can't pull it out, you just cut down the middle and peel it out. So that's one done. And the other way is just virtually the same, but you're just going to peel off all of this shell and the legs. And then once you've done that, you would normally leave on the tail, and then of course again you just need to pull that, pull that bit out to devein. This one's not coming out very well, so I'm going to cut this one as well. It's a yucky job, but prawns are delicious. If you want something delicious like prawns, you've got to do the work to have them. Okay, so it's all almost. That's a little bit tricky getting all that yucky bit out of the middle, but that's the other way. Now it's definitely not MasterChef worthy. I'm not the best at peeling prawns, but again, of course, I'm going to take that tail off. Okay, look at all that coming out of the bottom. So when I left the tail on, that was all still in there. Tail off, that's all gone. Okay, so that's my prawns done. I've got a few other things to go in there. I've got about 2 cups of shredded sugar-loaf cabbage, and just take a little bit out to show you it's nice and thinly chopped. Cabbage. Got a big bag of Hokkien Stir Fry noodles from the Asian grocer. Thinking that's a little bit big. I'm probably not going to need that many. I didn't have anything smaller, and I've just made, now I was going to call this an omelette, but I wouldn't say it's an omelette. Cooked up some egg, so it didn't quite work like an omelette, but I'm just going to slice it up and mix that through because I think that it will be nice. And of course I've got my chicken, so I'm using chicken tenderloins for this recipe. Now just put it on the marinade because I'm going to make that in a moment. 2 cloves of garlic, 3 tablespoons of sweet soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil mixed together. So once I prepare that, I'm going to cook my chicken, cook my prawns, mix in the marinade, add in the extra bits. So I'll get started on that marinade, and then I'll come back and we'll start cooking. Alright, so I'm starting to make my stir fry, and I started off with the chicken. My chicken, I just got chicken tenderloins. I find they're nice and tender ones. So I just cut them up into little stir fry pieces. You can be lazy and buy the stir-fried chicken, but it is chicken breast, which I find can be a little bit more dry. Chicken thigh is also really good for a nice chicken that's not too dry. So also, don't buy the stir-fried chicken, it's already pre-cut, unless you're lazy. There's nothing wrong with that, or you're in a hurry. But it's more expensive that way, and it's really just the same chicken cut up. Just cook this a bit until it browns a little bit. You don't want to overcrowd the pan because the chicken will start to stew, and we don't want that. The meat will then become tough. So then we're just going to add in a little bit more at a time, let it brown a bit, and then we're going to just turn it over, move the rest, put it in. That's all my chicken. I've got a few bits of things over here that I'm going to go into the stir fry. As I mentioned before, I've got my beautiful king prawn, I've got my chopped up egg, I've got the cabbage, my Hokkien noodles, and my marinade. This is the marinade here. Now, I didn't have any garlic, so I used just a really cheap teaspoon of garlic. I like a lot, but I didn't want to put too much. Just wanted to see how it goes first. It's a nice thick sort of a sauce, so you get the thickness from the oyster sauce and that sweet soy sauce. You've got the olive oil in there and also the regular soy. That's really lovely. So I'm just going to cook this chicken a bit more, then I'm going to add in my prawns and one by one add in the other things. Now this cut over the back, that's my fish cake. So you just need to cook that until it floats. And once it starts to float, that's going to be ready. So that's actually looking pretty good. So I'm going to take that out and slice it up and keep cooking my chicken, and then we'll almost be ready to serve. Right, so I'll be back soon. Alright, so my chicken's cooked now, and I'm just going to start adding in my other bits. Now the prawns won't take very long to cook, so I'm going to start with half of the marinade into the pan. So they're around about half. I'm going to mix that to the chicken. Then I'm just going to add in my prawns. And the prawns just need to turn orange and they'll be cooked. So they don't take long, just a couple of minutes. Put some of that marinade in there. And then my cabbage is fairly thinly sliced, but I do want it to be cooked a little, so I'm going to add that in next. Let's get that cooking as well. So far it's looking pretty good. Now the egg's obviously already cooked, and that just needs to be warmed up a little bit, so I'm going to leave that to the end. And since that's not going to take long, I might actually start getting these noodles out. So take a big bag. These noodles are already cooked, so if you've got to cook your noodles, you just add into the pan with a bit of stock, cooking for about a minute or two. So let's get some of these in there. Oh, they're very long and they're very oily. Okay, so that's probably enough noodles for now, I reckon. Now the other thing is this fish cake's already cooked. I sliced it up. The outside seems to be coming off, but that's not a big deal. Cut it a little bit thick. There are a couple of thin bits, but generally you want it a little bit thinner than that. Yeah, who cares? It's home cooking, right? So it goes in the pan. And this is when I'm going to add in the rest of that marinade. Just so I can flavour the fish cake and the noodles. As you can see, those prawns are starting to cook. Probably just needs a little bit longer. I'm just going to cook this for about another 1 to 2 minutes. I'll add in my omelette, egg, whatever you want to call it. Definitely doesn't look like an omelette now. Alright, so I might try not to stir that too much because I do want those prawns to cook. So it's still a little bit soft. See, the side here is cooked. Flip it over, still a bit undercooked. So I just need a bit longer on those prawns. And we'll be ready to serve. So give them a bit longer. I'll put my egg in now so that can sort of warm up. I'll leave this a bit longer and then I'm going to plate it up and I'll show it to you. Alright, so my stir fry is ready now. It's looking delicious. So I'm just going to serve up some of these beautiful noodles, maybe not that many. And everything didn't really mix through, so I'm just going to grab a bit of everything and pile it on top. So I've got the fish cake in there, some chicken, some of those prawns, get a bit of cabbage in there. It's looking pretty good. So that's my stir fry there, first attempt at making this. Pretty excited to taste it, see how it goes. Just as good as I remember. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. Bye.